Before you even open your mouth, people already know what they think about you. Isn't that crazy? You walk into a room, you sit across from someone, you shake a hand, and without a single sentence spoken, they've already formed an opinion. And here's the wild part. You've done the exact same thing. You've met someone, looked at the way they carried themselves, the way they positioned their body, and before they said one word, you thought, I don't know about this person, or something feels off. That's body language. It's the conversation that happens before the conversation. Now, here's what I want you to think about. Communication is not just words. Words are important, yes. Words are powerful, yes. But research shows over and over again that the majority of communication happens non-verbally, which means if the words coming out of your mouth don't match the signals your body is sending, people don't believe the words. They believe the body. They believe the cues. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been talking to someone and while their words seemed polite, their body language made you feel like you were bothering them? They gave short answers, they crossed their arms, they leaned away, they avoided eye contact, and in your head you thought, okay, they don't like me, or this person's not interested. That feeling, that instinct, you were right to notice it, because the body tells the truth long before the words do. And the truth is, there is one body language cue in particular that makes people instantly dislike you. It's subtle, but powerful. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That cue is closed off body language. Now, let's break this down. What does closed off body language look like? It looks like crossing your arms tightly against your chest. It looks like avoiding eye contact, shifting your gaze to the floor, your phone, the wall, anywhere but the person in front of you. It looks like turning your body slightly away, like you'd rather be anywhere else but here. It looks like stiff posture, clenched fists, maybe even tapping your foot impatiently. All of those little things, those tiny cues, send a loud message. And the message is, I don't want you here. I don't want this conversation. I don't want connection. And here's the thing. People feel it immediately. They don't analyze it. They don't say, oh, that person had their arms crossed and their shoulders turned 35 degrees away from me. Therefore, they must be closed off. No, they just feel uncomfortable. They feel uninvited. They feel disliked. And then they mirror it back. They cross their arms. They pull away. They disengage. Without even realizing it, your body has told them, stay out. Now, think about how this plays out in everyday life. Imagine you're on a first date. You're trying to get to know someone. You're smiling, you're asking questions, you're being charming. But the whole time, your arms are crossed. You don't even realize you're doing it. Maybe it's just comfortable for you, but to the other person, it screams, I'm not interested. I'm not attracted. I'd rather be home. And no matter what you say, no matter how good your answers are, they leave thinking, we just didn't click. Or picture this, you're in a job interview. You've prepared your answers, you've practiced your pitch, you're dressed sharp. But as the interviewer is talking, you lean back, cross your arms, and avoid eye contact. Not because you're arrogant, but because you're nervous. Still, what do they see? They see someone who's defensive, someone who's not engaged, someone who doesn't care. And you walk out wondering why you didn't get the job when in your mind you said all the right things. It happens in relationships too. Your partner comes to you frustrated, upset, wanting to talk. And what do? You fold your arms, you sigh, you look away. You're not even saying anything, but your body is saying everything. I don't want to deal with this. And your partner, they shut down. They feel rejected. They feel like they're talking to a wall. And over time, those little cues add up. They erode trust, they erode safety, they erode love. Here's why closed off body language is so toxic. Human beings are wired for connection. From the time we're infants, we look for open faces, open arms, open posture. It signals safety. It signals you're welcome here. Closed off body language does the exact opposite. It signals threat. It signals rejection. It puts people on guard. And when people feel rejected or unsafe around you, they cannot like you. It's not even a choice. They can't. Their brain is telling them, this person is not open to me. Now, I know some of you are thinking, Jefferson, sometimes I just cross my arms because it's comfortable. Sometimes I avoid eye contact because I'm shy. Sometimes I lean away because I'm tired. It doesn't mean I dislike the person. And you're right. Your intention may not be to push people away. But here's the thing. Perception is reality in communication. It doesn't matter what you intended. It matters what they perceived. If your body gave them the message that you're closed off, that's the message they received. Think about it like this. If you accidentally step on someone's foot, do you say, well, I didn't mean to, so it doesn't hurt? No, you apologize, because whether you intended it or not, the impact was real. Same with body language. You may not mean to come across closed off, but if the impact is that people feel pushed away, you've got to own that. You've got to adjust. Because relationships are not built on intention, they're built on impact. And here's the good news. The same way your body can push people away, it can also draw them in. The same way closed off body language can make people dislike you, open body language can make people like you trust you and connect with you. It doesn't take magic. It doesn't take years of study. It takes awareness. Just paying attention to what your body is saying. Here's what I need you to understand. People don't just listen to what you say. They listen to how you make them feel. That's the filter. That's the lens through which every word you speak is received. And this is where closed off body language becomes dangerous. Because when your body looks shut down, defensive, or uninterested, the person in front of you doesn't just register that physically, they feel it emotionally. They feel dismissed. They feel judged. They feel like they're wasting their time. Think about this in your own life. How many times have you walked away from a conversation and said, you know what? I can't remember exactly what they said, but I didn't like how I felt when I was around them. We do this all the time. We judge our interactions not by the transcript of words, but by the experience of emotion. And when someone's body language is closed, it makes us feel small, it makes us feel unimportant. And we don't like people who make us feel that way. Now, I want you to picture a specific scenario. Imagine you've got something vulnerable to share. Maybe you're at work and you want to give feedback to your boss. Or maybe it's a friend and you're finally telling them something that's been weighing on you. Or maybe it's your partner and you're opening up about something that scares you. This is a big moment for you. You're searching for courage. You're taking a risk. And as you begin to share, you notice the other person folding their arms, looking around, checking their phone, or even just turning slightly away. What happens in that moment? Your courage collapses. You don't think, well, maybe they're just tired, or maybe that's their comfortable position. No, you take it personally. You think, they don't care. They're judging me. They're not listening. And in that instant, the wall goes up inside of you. You stop talking. You shut down. You retreat. Not because of their words. They may have even said, go on, I'm listening. But because of the way their body made you feel. This is the heart of communication. Words live in the head, but body language lives in the heart. People might not be able to repeat back what you said, but they will carry the emotional residue of how you made them feel. And if your body language makes them feel dismissed, excluded, or unwanted, that's the story that will stick. That's the memory that will last. Now, let me give you a really simple example of how this works. Imagine you're telling someone about a tough day. You're unloading, you're venting, you're sharing the stress that's been sitting on your chest all day long. And the other person says, wow, that sounds hard. pretty supportive words, right? But as they say it, their arms are crossed, their eyes are darting to the TV, and their tone is flat. How does that land? It lands as fake. It lands as dismissive, because the body betrayed the words. Now flip it. Same situation, you're sharing your stress. The other person leans in, nods, keeps their arms relaxed, gives you steady eye contact, maybe even tilts their head slightly to show they're following. And they say the exact same words. Wow, that sounds hard. Suddenly, those words feel different. They feel genuine. They feel supportive. You feel understood. Not because the sentence changed, but because the body backed it up. That's why I say people believe the body more than the words. Always. Because the body doesn't just speak to the ears, it speaks to the heart. Now, here's where it gets even trickier. Closed-off body language doesn't just make others feel dismissed, it actually makes them defensive. Let's say you're having a disagreement with someone. Emotions are already high, stakes feel real. You want to be heard, they want to be heard. And then you cross your arms, you lean back, you look away. Even if you're just doing it to feel grounded, to calm yourself, to think, it communicates rejection. It communicates, I'm not with you, I'm not open to you. And the other person, they flare up, they get louder, they repeat themselves, they start pressing harder. Why? Because they don't feel heard. And when people don't feel heard, they fight to be heard. So now what do you have? You've got a cycle of escalation, not because of the words, but because of the body. One person closes off, the other person feels dismissed, they push harder, the first person closes off even more, and before you know it, the whole thing has spiraled into an argument. And here's the worst part, both people walk away feeling misunderstood, unheard, and disconnected. All because of the silent cues that no one talked about. I'll tell you something I've learned from practicing law and mediating conflict for years. People rarely fight about facts, they fight about feelings. They fight about whether they felt respected, valued, included. And body language is one of the fastest ways we send the message, I respect you, or I don't. It happens in a split second, and it can make or break the entire conversation. I want you to think about that for a second. Imagine you're talking to someone and their eyes keep drifting. They're glancing over your shoulder, checking their phone, tapping their foot, sighing under their breath. What's the message you get? The message isn't, oh, they're just distracted. No, the message you feel in your gut is, I'm not important enough. They'd rather be somewhere else. They don't want to be here with me. And when you feel that, you pull back. You don't open up more. You don't lean into the connection, you shut down, because nobody likes the feeling of being tolerated. Now, think about the reverse. Think about a time when someone gave you their full attention. They didn't just look at you, they saw you. Their body was calm, their eyes steady, their shoulders square to yours. You felt that presence. And what did it make you do? It made you open up. It made you trust. It made you feel like, this person values me, and it probably made you like them more. Because the truth is, we like the people who make us feel liked. We trust the people who make us feel seen. This is why body language is so crucial. You can be saying all the right things with your mouth and still lose someone with your body. Imagine you're telling your kid, I'm listening, go ahead, tell me about your day. But your arms are crossed, your eyes are glued to the TV, and you're nodding absent-mindedly. What are they going to believe? The words or the body? They'll believe the body every time. And the body says, I'm not really here with you. And here's the part that stings. Once someone feels your disinterest, it's really hard to recover. That seed of doubt gets planted. They start questioning whether you ever really care, whether you're always this dismissive, whether they're boring, whether they're even worth your time. And that's the story they carry forward. Not your words, not your excuses, but the emotional memory of your absence. Let's bring this to the workplace. You're in a meeting, someone is presenting an idea, maybe it's not perfect, maybe it's rough. But instead of showing openness, you lean back, cross your arms, glance at the clock. Do you think that person is going to take risks in front of you again? Probably not. Because your body told them, this isn't safe. This isn't valued. And what happens when people stop sharing? Innovation dies. Creativity shrinks. Teams lose trust. All because of something as subtle as crossed arms and an averted gaze. Or take it into your relationships. Your partner comes to you and says, I need to talk about something that's been bothering me. That's already a vulnerable moment. And while they're speaking, you sigh, shift in your chair, look at your phone, or worse, roll your eyes. What happens in that moment? The conversation shuts down, not because the problem was solved, not because they feel understood, but because your body language told them, this isn't worth my time. You aren't worth my time. And that cuts deeper than any words could. I've seen this play out in courtrooms, too. I've watched juries study attorneys. And let me tell you, juries don't just listen to arguments, they watch. They watch how the attorney holds themselves. They watch whether the attorney shows respect to the witnesses, to the process, to them. And when an attorney looks dismissive, condescending, or impatient, the jury doesn't think, well, that's just a quirk. No, the jury thinks, if that's how you treat people, I don't trust you. And the case is lost before a single piece of evidence is weighed. Here's something I really want you to get. Every conversation is a mirror. The way your body speaks reflects back into the other person's self-worth. If you show up open, they feel safe. If you show up closed, they feel small. And human beings never forget how someone made them feel small. That lingers. That sticks. That builds walls in the relationship that no apology can easily break down. Now let's talk about one of the biggest offenders, eye contact. Or rather, the lack of it. When you avoid eye contact, when you glance down, when you scan the room, you're sending one of the clearest signals of disinterest. Because eye contact isn't just about looking, it's about choosing. When you keep your eyes on someone, you're saying, I choose to be with you right now. I choose to value what you're saying. And when you break that unnecessarily, you send the opposite message. I choose something else over you. And here's the trap. We justify it. We tell ourselves, I'm just multitasking. I'm just tired. I'm just comfortable standing this way, Dai. And maybe that's true. But here's what matters. The other person doesn't see your intent. They see your impact. They don't live inside your head. They live inside their own experience. And in their experience, your body language spoke louder than your excuses. So, what's the real cost of this? The real cost is connection. The real cost is trust. Every time you close off, every time you send a signal of disinterest, you chip away at the relationship. And it may not break right away, but little by little, the foundation weakens. Until one day someone says, I just don't feel close to you anymore. I just don't feel like you care. And you're left wondering what happened. What happened was death by 1,000 tiny cues. This is why self-awareness is so critical. You have to start catching yourself in those moments. You have to ask, what is my body communicating right now? Am I showing openness or am I showing resistance? Because if your body is resisting, then your words, no matter how polite they sound, will land hollow. I've had to learn this lesson the hard way. As a trial lawyer, I've stood in courtrooms where the stakes were unbelievably high. And I'll tell you, when someone on the stand is defensive, whether it's a witness, a client, or even myself, it changes everything. The jury doesn't think, oh, they're just nervous. The jury thinks they're hiding something. They're not trustworthy. And it doesn't matter if the truth is on your side. If your body language betrays defensiveness, people don't trust you. Let's make this practical. Imagine you're in a disagreement with your partner. They tell you, I feel like you're not really listening to me when I talk. If your immediate reaction is to fold your arms, lean back, and say, "That's not true," then guess what? You just proved their point. Because your body language screamed, "I'm not listening. I'm protecting myself." And now, instead of addressing their concern, you've created a new one, your refusal to even hear them out. But what if you handled it differently? What if in that exact same moment you uncrossed your arms, leaned slightly forward, kept your face relaxed, and said, "Okay, tell me more about that." Now your body is saying, "I'm open. I'm here. I may not agree yet, but I'm willing to hear you." And do you know what happens when you do that? The tension drops, the defensiveness on their side melts away, and the conversation shifts from combat to collaboration. Here's what most people don't realize: being defensive feels like strength on the inside, but it looks like weakness on the outside. On the inside, you think, "I'm standing my ground. I'm not letting them push me around." But on the outside, what people see is insecurity. They see someone who can't handle feedback. They see someone who's fragile, who's more interested in protecting their ego than in solving the problem. And people don't respect fragility disguised as toughness. They respect openness disguised as strength. And this is where the real growth happens. When you learn to control your body language, when you learn to drop your guard physically, you're not just changing how people see you. You're changing how you see yourself. Because every time you lean in instead of lean back, every time you uncross your arms, every time you keep your eyes steady instead of darting away, you're reminding yourself, "I can handle this. I don't have to be on the defense. I can stand here fully open and I'll be okay." That's power. That's real confidence. And here's the beautiful part. People respond to that. People respect that. People like being around that. Nobody likes walking into a conversation where they already feel the walls going up. But everyone likes walking into a conversation where they feel welcomed, where they feel heard, where they feel like the other person isn't gearing up for a fight, but for understanding. I'll leave you with this. Your body language is always speaking, always. And when it comes to defensiveness, your body can either say, "I'm closed, I'm guarded, and I'm ready to fight," or it can say, "I'm open, I'm calm, and I'm here to understand." One of those will push people away. The other will pull people in. And at the end of the day, the relationships you build, or the ones you lose, depend on which message you choose to send. So drop the wall, uncross your arms, lean in, and show people with your body what your words alone could never prove. That you're not here to resist them, you're here to connect with them. That's how you turn a conversation from combat into connection. And that's how you make sure your body language doesn't become the reason people dislike you, but the reason they trust you, respect you, and want to stand with you.